Dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, Happy New Year to you. Peace be with you. I am happy to give you this message on behalf of Thalir Solanas KC Center, Viluppuram, India. This is the monthly recollection for January 2021. This comes to you from Thalir Visit. Visit stands for Virtual Institute for Spirituality, Integrity and Transformation. This time, we'll listen to the New Year resolutions based on some of the reflections from Pope Francis. We are taking these messages from Pope's most memorable quotes. This January monthly recollection talk is prepared by Reverend Brother Francis Peter Durai, Ofm.Cap, and I'm happy to give you this voice. There are two types of messages. First one, we are going to listen to the message that Pope Francis has given to the Vatican staff. New year, new life with fresh enthusiasm. The first point is take care of your spiritual life, relationship with God, because this is the backbone of everything we do and everything we are. And this message is equally important for every religious person and a family person, every Christian. The second one, take care of your community members and their life. Give them not just material goods, not just satisfy their day-to-day life, but rather give them the most of all your time, your attention, and your love. And third point, take care of your relationship with others. For religious, we are really coming across a lot of varieties of people with different types of emotions, feelings, and responses. Therefore, take care of this relationship, transforming your faith into life and your words into good works, especially on behalf of the needy and the most needy persons. The fourth point, be careful how you speak. Purify your tongue of offensive words and materiality and worldly decadence. We are really coming across a lot of problems based on caste, region, language groups, and these things block us from becoming original. Fifth one, heal the wounds of the heart with the oil of forgiveness. Forgiveness is very important for a religious. Forgiving those who have harmed us and medicating the wounds we have caused others. The sixth point is look after your work. Do it with enthusiasm, with humility, with competence, with passion, and with a spirit that knows how to thank the Lord. The seventh one, be careful of envy, lust, hatred, and negative feelings that devour our interior peace and transform us into destroyed and destructive people. Watch out for anger that can lead to vengeance, and for laziness that leads to existential euthanasia, and for pointing the finger at others, which leads to pride, and for complaining continually, which leads to desperation. Take care of the brothers and sisters who are weaker, the elderly, the sick, the hungry, the homeless, the strangers, because we will be judged on this. You look at your own charism of your own congregation. Everything is connected to the poor, the needy, the marginalized. And 10th one, last, make sure your celebration of the new year is about Jesus and not about this materialism. Now we are going to reflect about something about 2017, what the Pope has given us the New Year's resolution in detail. The Francis list. Don't gossip. Finish your meals. Make time for others. Choose the more humble purchase. Meet the poor in the flesh. Stop judging others. Befriend those who disagree. Make commitments such as marriage or religious life. Make it a habit to ask the Lord, that is prayer, and be happy. Now we shall go in detail and to apply how we can apply in our daily life. Don't gossip. It is one of our hobbies in our religious life, in our community life, in our daily life. But for Francis, it is also one of the most evil activities. The Catholic leader, Pope himself, he denounces gossip as the murder. And murder. In another place, he also says it's a modern form of terrorism. And in the 1 year itself, the first year of his pontificate, he has already referred 6 times about this gossip. He speaks, never speak poorly about others. The temptation of gossip about others, he speaks about it. And again he says, no gossip, no fear. And he said, the threat of gossip in our community life, in our daily life, in our family life also. And he says, from gossip, we are to go to love of others. And be professional and don't gossip, Pope tells the Catholic officials. Pope says, when we gossip, we are doing what Judas did and begin to tear the person into pieces. Every time we judge our brothers and our sisters in our hearts, or worse, when we speak badly for them about them with others, we are murdering Christians. We are murdering people. Francis says there's nothing called innocent slander. Every slander is a cunning and is very dangerous. Second thing is finish your meal. How can we apply this into religious life? No leftover, please. There is a lot of leftover on our table, a lot of food waste. It's a culture of wasting. Pope Francis, who is named after the 12th century saint Francis of Assisi, he says about the culture of waste that neglects the plight of the hungry. Pope says wasting food is stealing from the poor. Extravagance in food is a symbol of distancing from the poor and from God. It's not only wasting food, but also spending too much on food, too much thinking about food, too much reflecting about only food and commenting about food is also a very mean character, very, very mean character. Commenting too often on food is a symptom of insensitivity and meanness. Nearly 870 million of people suffer from chronic malnutrition today. And this is also told by Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. Every third person in the world is living below poverty line. Therefore, when every moment you meet with the food, you have an obligation towards the hungry one. Pope says we should all remember that throwing food away is like stealing from the table of the poor, the hungry. I encourage everyone to reflect on the problem of throwing away and wasting food to identify ways and means that seriously addressing these issues as a vehicle of solidarity and sharing with the needy. Any wastage, any extravagance, spending too much either in food or clothing or shelter is a sign of insensitivity towards the needy and the poor. Third one, make time for others. We don't want to have spending time for others. This is a very big danger. We don't grow. Pope, tending to 1.2 billion members, he seems to be very busy for anything else. That is, until he calls up a stranger or entertains a random biker or sends a handwritten letter to a Jesuit he has never met. He always spends some time for others, completely unknown persons, to give them joy. This also is possible if you are able to make a phone call, a communication with someone whom you have not met for longer time, duration. Father James Martin gets a handwritten letter, thank you note from Pope Francis. This particular Jesuit father who got the letter, he says Francis inspires him to be more generous in my own life with my own time. For James Martin says, if the Pope can find time to be kind to others, if he can pause and say thank you, if he can take a moment, make someone feel appreciated, then I can also do it. Therefore, shall we try? The fourth one, choose more humble purchase. Take it from the head of the state for France, head of the state who rides a 29-year-old Renault. That's Pope himself. It's a very old car he's using. In July, he warned against the luxurious lives that speak on the joy of the world, the latest smartphone and fastest car. We all want to have the latest one, the costliest one. It's always insensitive to what's really happening in the world. For us religious, it's very important to reflect what type of things we desire, what type of things we want to purchase. Cars are necessary, he says, but take more humble ones. Think of how many children die of hunger and dedicate the lives savings to them. Because whenever you go for purchase, when you go for buying things, whenever you want to select the thing, you see, can a person with poverty afford to have these things? Can a people, simple people, can afford these things? Pope preaches against materialism. Certainly, possessions, money, and power can give a momentary thrill, an illusion of being happy. That's what we want to have, but it's an illusory. But they end up with possessing us and making us always want to have more and more and more and never satisfied. Therefore, he says, put on Christ in your life, place your trust in Him, and you will never be disappointed. He calls for a sober and essential lifestyle. Pope says, choose sober lifestyle, share your wealth. The fifth one is meet the poor in the flesh. Sure, we donate to charity, but this is not enough for Francis' commitment to the poor, he says. It says it must be person to person in the flesh. If you want to care for the poor, not just donate, but be part of them, be part of their suffering. He is known for pro-poor even when he was an archbishop in Argentina. He explains more in the book on heaven and on earth. On heaven and earth. It is not enough to mediate this commitment through institutions which obviously help because they are multiplying effects. That is not enough, but they do not excuse us from establishing personal contact with the needy, the sick, and those who are to be cared for. Pope calls for a longer term commitment. Hospitality in itself is not enough. It is not enough to give a sandwich if it is not accomplished by the possibility of learning to stand on one's own feet. Charity that does not change the situation of the poor is not enough. Sixth one, stop judging others. The same way he denounces gossip, Francis condemns prejudice. Prejudice is becoming part of our daily life in the society, in religious life, or in the institutions. On judging others and commenting others in the community is also a symbol of a shallow religious life. Sometimes our judgments is also related to our prejudices based on ethnicity, creed, caste, linguistic groups, and geographical regions. Pope reminds, if you do good to others, if you meet there doing good, and if we go slowly, gently, little by little, we will make that culture of encounter. We need that so much. We must meet one another doing good. Francis, Pope, urges us to keep watch over ourselves. Let's not forget that hatred, envy, and pride defile ourselves. The seventh one, befriend those who disagree. Very often, if people disagree, we just denounce them, we put them away, we keep them far away. No, we are losing the positive essential that comes on our way, wonderful potential that can bear, that can begin if we are able to get along, listen to people who disagree. What can we do to worst critics? We can take our cue from Pope Francis himself. In November, Francis surprised Mario Palmaro, a traditionalist who wrote the article, The Reason Why We Don't Like This Pope. But he says, he responded, he just wanted to tell me that he is praying for me, says Palmaro, who is gravely ill at present. Pope Francis does this in line with what he calls a culture of encounter. He says, when leaders in various fields ask me for advice, my response is always the same: dialogue, dialogue, and dialogue. Dear brothers and sisters, lot of things can be dialogued. Lot of things can be settled. mutual dialogue, opening, listening, and then continuing the relationship is very, very important for better society. It's the only way for individuals, families, religious communities, and societies to grow. The only way for the life of people to progress, along with the culture of encounter, a culture in which all have something good to give and all can receive something good in return. Eighth point is making commitment. For us, religious life, it's a very, very clear importance is to be given whether I'm sincere to my commitment. Pope says, don't be afraid to say forever. Francis advises the youth, for instance, not to fear marriage because the marriage, they don't want to make commitment. And the same way, we make commitment, we don't want to live. For the religious, this is an absolute fidelity. Our commitment to God and our religious life must be genuine and it is possible. Another type of life is possible if we are really taking our commitment, our vows, and our perpetual commitment to God. Pope says, today there are those who say that marriage is out of fashion. In a culture of relativism and ephemeral, many preach importance of enjoying the moment. Thus says, they say that it is not worth making a lifelong commitment, making a definitive decision forever because we do not know what tomorrow will bring. Now, this particular poison is also entering into our religious life, not bothering about that, taking life a personal lifestyle, and not bothering about collaborative to what I commitment I have made, and not listening to God's call, not listening to God's voice. It's always tender, kind, gentle, and guiding for a deeper commitment. Therefore, the same is applicable to those who have commitment to God through their vows. The charism of the religious congregation, the dream of the founder, the foundress, are to become part of the commitment to carry out the mission. It is possible. Therefore, Pope says, I ask you instead to be revolutionaries, to swim against the tide. Yes, I'm asking you to rebel against this culture, the materialism, individualism, and the laissez-faire attitude. Therefore, this culture that sees everything as temporary and that ultimately believes that you are incapable of responsibility and that you are incapable of true love, and I have confidence in you and I pray for you. Have the courage to swim against the tide. Have the courage to be happy, Pope says. It is possible also for us religious. The ninth one, make it a habit to ask the Lord. For us in this new year, let us make a commitment to God Himself. There are so many things unanswered, not able to understand. We do not know why things are happening. We don't have a recourse to God. We don't have a recourse to Jesus. So therefore, if you are bothered about prayer, if you are bothered about your future, start praying. Start praying. This is what Pope urges. Pray, pray, pray without ceasing. He says, Pope says to the young people, some of you may not know what you will do with your lives. Ask the Lord and He will show you the way. The young Samuel kept hearing the voice of the Lord who was calling him, but he did not understand or know what to say. Yet with the help of the priest Eli, in the end he answered, Speak, Lord, I am listening. You too can ask the Lord, Lord, what do you want me to do? What path am I to follow? The Lord will reveal. The Holy Spirit will inspire. The last one, the theme, be happy. The true Christian, says the Pope, exudes great joy. He says keeping this joy to ourselves will make us sick in the end. Therefore, share the joy. So important is joy to him that his first apostolic is exhortation. The first major document he wrote on his own is titled Evangelium Gaudium. Evangelii Gaudium, the joy of the gospel. It is very strange to see religious priests and nuns with long and serious faces. Instead, people want to see in them enthusiasm, in Theos, in God. Therefore, a religious is actually filled with contagion of joy, a joy leading to hope. Sometimes these melancholy Christians faces with the more in common with the pickled pepper than the joy of having a beautiful life. Francis says in a homily, joy cannot be held at heel, it must let go. Joy is a pilgrim virtue. It is a great gift that walks on the path of life, that walks with Jesus. Preaching, proclaiming, Jesus proclaiming joy, lengthening, widening the path. Francis says that the Christian sings with joy and wakes up and he creates joys, carries joy. This joy, he reminds, should translate to love of neighbor. This is the message for the new year. Be happy, joyful with the help of sacrifice that you are able to make. We are sending also the motivational videos or other videos. You can always go to the YouTube, our channel, subscribe to that, Thalir YouTube. The questions for personal reflections and action for this month. At the end of this 20 minutes, 21 minutes, I request you, dear brother and sister, just think of 2 concrete methods of making praying my prayer to the Lord. Can you make it a habit from now? Any issues, any problem that you come across, make it in the form of prayer. Relate it with God. Listen to God. This is what our faith is. The second one, my concrete plan of action to stop gossiping. We fail miserably in speaking ill of others. Can we stop speaking ill of others for 1 day, for 1 week, 1 month, 3 months? In 66 days, it becomes part and parcel of us. You gain a culture. You create a new society. You can start molding people. You can start molding yourselves. Stop gossiping. It is possible. Another you is possible. The third point for reflection, my concrete method of commitment to the marginalized and the neglected in the community and in society. Dear friends, you come across there are some people in your own community who are neglected. Easily they are taken for a ride. Stand with them. Stand with them. Whether they are good or bad, that doesn't matter. But stand with the marginalized, the weak, the humble ones. This is a culture of opening yourself for the poor and the marginalized is a religious culture. It's a Christian culture. Therefore, it will create a new society. Involve, engage, intervene in the life of the poor and the marginalized. Therefore, I end up with these reflections from Pope Francis himself. I thank Brother Francis Peter Durai for his wonderful talk and wish you a very happy reflection. Wish you a wonderful transformation. God will be always with you. Every month we have this monthly recollection. You can always open this YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is called Thalir YouTube. Thank you so much. God bless you.